What's up guys, FlamingVictini here, and this time I'm going to be showing you my OST Round 2 replays versus Shoka. Yes, this is a round that was quite a while ago, but my series versus Shoka had a lot of close games, so I wanted to showcase it. And this is game 1, so Shoka has brought Alakazam Sand pretty much. I don't know, I just based on my observations from Shoka, even though I haven't really seen him play OU so much, I figured he would be the person to use Alakazam and T-Tar a lot. So anyway, I ended up bringing a Hydreigon team that I had built really recently. I was just liking the feel of it, so I thought I'd bring it. And looking at the team matchup, I can see that Serperior has potential to do a lot of work. It's Assault Vest, so it can potentially blow through a lot of his teams, and also check Alakazam. Depending on his Skarmory set, Diancie might be able to do some work, but really the Skarmory is kind of worrisome. Depending on its set, it might be able to like pressure my Serperior, my Diancie, my Lando. Well, my Lando is Double Dance, so I can use SD on the switch and Stone Edge the thing for a huge chunk of damage, which is really great. So I don't want him to get up the rocks with his Garchomp. I want to pressure him with my Diancie. I am actually attack invested to 2 KO Clefable on the switch so that Hydreigon can put in more work. So I'm actually going to lead off with my Diancie. As he leads off with his Manaphy, now here I considered going for the Protect, predicting him to not Tail Glow, predicting that Protect, but I felt like it was really risky, because if he did Tail Glow, then then I would basically lose him on and not even get a chance to, like, it would be really bad for me. And I know I can tank a Scald, so I decided to just Mega Evolve and go straight for the Diamond Storm. He does go straight for the Scald, it does 95%, but thankfully doesn't burn. I get a Diamond Storm crit right here. That didn't really matter too much, because I had really solid chances to 2-hit KO, and sorry, I had really solid chances to 2-hit KO, and even if I did, it's not the end of the world, because you'll see I ended up winning by a pretty huge margin, just because like the matchup was pretty good in my favor, and this Manaphy ends up getting sacked later on, although that crit may have hurt him. But here you see he does go to his Skarmory as I just fire off a second Diamond Storm, and that's doing a solid chunk. These defense boosts don't really matter. I can just fire off, I can really just switch out here. I don't want to lose my Diancie to an Iron Head quite just yet, so I switch into my Hydreigon, and he goes into his Skarmory. I'm just going to fire off a Fire Blast as he goes into his Clefable. This is okay with me because I can force him to soft boiled up. Even if he T-Waves, he gives my Jirachi a slow T-Wave, which I don't really mind that much. And I just go straight into my Jirachi as he just chooses to pull a double switch actually into his Tyranitar. I'm not really sure why he would pull a double switch into his Tyranitar. I'm guessing, I mean, it doesn't really make sense that he'd be fearing the Steel move and then he'd switch into his Tyranitar. It doesn't really make sense that he would predict my Jirachi and go to his Tyranitar. Like, if anything, I'd expect him to go to his Skarmory, but he chooses to double, and honestly, I'm not really so sure how I feel about doubling in the first place. I think soft boiling and just keeping yourself healthy is a pretty safe thing, because now Hydreigon can 2-hit KO the Clefable on the switch. So I decided he just goes for the Crunch, and I can just get out my rocks and see what he wants to lock himself into, and he just locks himself into Crunch, so I can just pretty safely switch out. I decided to go into my Keldeo actually, and he just fires off a second Crunch, so I'm pretty free here to just fire off a Hydro Pump if I remember correctly. I think I go for that. Maybe I go for the Secret Sword, I don't remember. I do go for the Secret Sword, okay. So I go for the Secret Sword knowing that it'll allow the Clefable to heal back up, but he actually decides to go to his Alakazam instead. I'm not really sure why. I decided I can just sack my Jirachi, because Jirachi is gonna let his Skarmory heal up, and I really want to pressure that Skarmory, because Skarmory can soft check a lot of my mons like at least one time. So I can go into my Lando T and scare it off, because I know he knows I can tank one hit, and I can just EQ right here. It actually goes into his Garchomp, and I think I'm actually Berry on this team, but he decides to go for the Fire Blast, which makes a lot of sense because I do have Diancie right there, which will take the Dragon Tail. It'll bounce the Stealth Rocks back, and he can't go for the EQ as on my lander, so that'd be a really risky play. So he decides to go for the Fire Blast. Good neutral hit, because it'll kill my Diancie if I switch into it, and it'll do chunk to my landers, which means now his Alakazam can KO me with the Psychic once he Mega Evolves. So here I force the Mega Evolution. I'm just going to sack my Hydreigon right here. I don't really need it, and I also force him to hit a Focus Blast. So he just goes for the Psychic and follows it up with the Focus Blast to take me out. And really my plan here is to just win with my DD Lando T. Or my Superior. So I decided to go to my Superior right here, and I can just freely fire off a Leaf Storm. As long as I don't miss, I feel really safe. And he just goes for a Psychic, and you see the Assault Vest is really good for me right now here. So I can just go for a Giga Drain, really safe. He decides to go into his Skarmory. I think if he wanted chances to win this game, he should have pulled a switch into his T-Tar on this HP Fire, but he decides to just stack his Skarmory, which really just opens up more room for my Lando to potentially sweep, especially since it can tank Moonblast from that Clefable. It can also use T-Tar as setup fodder. I decided to save my Superior and just go to my Keldeo, and he just chooses to Stone Edge. I'm okay with this because I'm perfectly okay with this because what this allows the reason I'm perfectly okay with losing my Keldeo because it allows me to just go to my Lando T and Rock Polish up really freely, and he switches to his Clefable like an SD after that as well, and it's basically GG. And the only way he can lose then is if he chooses to stay in and he crits Stone Edge on my Lando T or something along those sorts. So I'm actually perfectly fine with my Keldeo dying here, but I actually burn him, and I think the Stone Edge plus Sand would have taken me out, which would have been like extra good for me, but he actually misses. It's actually not even that good for me, because it potentially gives his Clefable an opening to like maybe somehow like hacks through, like maybe crit a lot of moves, paralyze like every single time. I don't know, I feel a little less safe that I give this Clef an opportunity, but you can see here he just goes straight for the Calm Mind, and I'm just going to fire off an EQ, and it's doing a solid 51%. He goes for the Moonblast, does not get the crit. What he needed was a crit right there, and then for me to like not be able to KO him or like miss Diamond Storm, something along those sorts, but it just doesn't work out for him. I'm able to take out the Clefable, and I can just kill off this Alakazam with my Keldeo pretty freely. So that's pretty much game one. Yeah, Superior could have definitely cleaned at the end, especially considering it's still in range to take one more Psychic, and I didn't even need Diancie. You can see it was just lying there. I didn't even use it as sack fodder, so I don't know really how much that turn one crit mattered, but that was a pretty straightforward game one, and I'll be right back with game two. Alright guys, we're back for game two. Now, I figured he's just going to bring more Alakazam Sand, so let me just bring some Sableye right here and bop him. So he does bring Alakazam Sand, and I'm really just looking to see that Sableye can do really well. I figured he'd lead with Keldeo, but I thought Sableye was just a safe catch-all lead regardless. And if he goes to his Keldeo, I know he's going to Scald, so I can just go to my Ferrothorn and just lay up a hazard, and he does indeed go for the Scald after leading with the Keldeo. Does not get the burn, thankfully, and I'm able to I think I might even pull a double switch right here. No, I just go for the Leaf Seed, and he just goes into his Lando T, so I think what I do right here is I switch into my Sableye so I can get off my Mega Evolution, and then this way if I defog later on, then I can block the rocks from Lando T. I just go for a Will-O-Wisp right here, and he chooses to go straight into his Keldeo, not even U-turn into Keldeo, and I miss. Now this Will-O-Wisp miss was really big, because this Keldeo, I cannot go to my Latios. I cannot go to my Latios because he has that T-Tar sitting. He also has a Jirachi. Like, pretty much I need to like save my Latios for the later parts of the game. And if this Keldeo keeps on coming in for free and I have no punishment to it, it's just going to keep wearing down my team. Slowbro's going to get worn down, Ferrothorn's going to get worn down, and it's just going to be really bad for me. And I am weak to Banded Tyranitar. At the time I was thinking it was actually Scarf, but it does prove to be Banded, and that's going to prove to be a big problem for me. Now he does go for this call, does not get the burn. I could have gone, actually I don't even remember if this team does have Power Whip. I changed it, it used to not have Power Whip, but I decided not to go for the Power Whip, and he gets the Scald Burn right there. If he didn't get the Scald Burn, maybe it was okay, but now that he's got that burn, I'm in a really tough position. He just goes into his Lando T right here, and I think I go for the double Leech Seed, expecting that switch, so I can get a bit of recovery right there, and wear down whatever wants to come in. I think he U-turns, and I might triple Seed. I don't remember this exactly. I might actually, I played these games a while ago. I remember the main important turns though. No, I actually go for the Stealth Rock. So the reason for this is because I felt like normally my plan is to defog and then remove. If my plan is to defog and then then set up my own rocks. I won't bother wasting a turn setting up my own hazards unless I feel like it'll take some time for me to get off the defog, or if it'll be unreasonable for me to get off the defog. And in this case, it's kind of unreasonable, considering as that T-tar right there. So I just get up those rocks so I can pressure his team, and actually go to my Slowbro. It says actually specially defensive Slowbro. It's Slowbro in place of Slowking, but because I got a few more stat points by just making it a Slowbro and having the same spread. Now, I thought it was really obvious to go for the slack off right there, predicting the Draco meter, so I decided to just go for a Scald, and it turns out that he actually just goes straight for the Draco meteor. So I end up pulling a switch into my Sableye right here, because it kind of catches him. Like, I get Regenerator, so I'm not really worried about my Slowbro. And if he chooses to go into his T-tar trying to like trap me or something like that, it's good. If he just goes for another Draco meter, I'm perfectly fine, and Slowbro got his Regenerator recovery. So he switches out his T-tar into his Alakazam. I really wanted to predict this, but I did not make the play. And here again, I really wanted to predict him to stay in Shadow Ball, but I did not make the play. So instead I go for another Will-O-Wisp predicting the switch, and he stays in. So this is really bad for me, especially with that sand chipping me down. But here I know he'll definitely switch, so I just go for a triple Will-O-Wisp. The downside of this is I have to let my Sableye be really low. If this Keldeo was burned earlier, eventually this game would reach a point where Sableye would just win. It really would. Like, it would reach a point where, like, basically his only chance of winning would be Jirachi flinching through everything, or the T-tar, and that would pretty much be the only way for him to win. But because this Keldeo would be punished every time it comes in, and eventually I can just switch to my counters. I have a lot of switch-ins to this Keldeo, and eventually it'll get just worn down and unable to beat me. So I have to keep my Sableye low now, and that's going to be really bad for me. He decides to pull a double switch into his T-tar right here. As I actually pull a switch into my Kiro, I'm really confident that he's not going to go for the Secret Sword and just fire off water moves. And he actually goes into his T-tar. Now here I thought it was Scarf, so I thought I could just go to my Slowbro on a Stone Edge. But it turns out because he's actually banned and the sand went out, he doesn't want to take an Earth Power. Or actually, I'm not sure why he'd go to Jirachi, but I guess it can live. So here, I did not expect Trick on Jirachi. I really wanted to go to my Sableye, I really did, but it didn't make sense, because if he just U-turned, I would just lose out on way too much. He could U-turn out into his T-turn and be a really bad position. I don't know why, like, the other reason is because I felt he might be sub-toxic. I don't know, I don't know, I felt like I should go Sableye, but I didn't know why I felt that, and it turns out he's Trick. Usually they're Healing Wish 3 attacks, but this is Trick, and this is going to be really bad for me, because one of my alternate plans to win this game was Calm Mind Slowbro, and now that's gone, that's down the gutter. So I go for the Scald, and I do get the burn, thankfully, so there's a little saving grace right there. But if I got that burn on the Keldeo earlier, that would have been good, and if I played a little more aggressively and predicted a little more correctly, I guess, then I would have been in an even better position. But he gets to go into his Latios right here, and I'm choice locked in the Scald, so that's really bad for me. I go into my Talonflame as he just roosts. Talonflame is Spadef, so it can take this on, and because when did he defog? Oh my god. Yeah, he did go for the defog, so now these rocks are, oh my god, now these rocks are gone, and so I'm probably really free to use my Talonflame and Latios, and it's unlikely he'll be able to get up rocks again, although it's possible. So going to my Talonflame, I just decide to go straight for the Willows as he switches into his Lando T right here, and I'm actually going to go for the Swords Dance, predicting him to not go for those Stealth Rocks, as he actually goes for the Toxic, and I'm not really sure. I mean, I guess he is Toxic U-turn, so he's predicting me to, I guess he just wants to get that Toxic off on me. Like, if I was Taunt, that would have been just really solid. So I really expected him to just U-turn into his T-tar. That honestly seemed like the best play for me on his end, especially because if he doesn't know if I'm Taunt or not, unless he knows his team. And it also counts for me going to Sableye. He really does not want to give my Sableye an opportunity to win. But I guess he's playing aggressively, predicting me well, and that's going to definitely pay off for him in the later turns. So I'm going to go for the Acrobatics here, and I actually get a crit. I calced later, and he had like a decent chance to live that, so that crit was definitely unfortunate. He might have been able to get up those Stealth Rocks, and that would have pressured me quite a bit. So he actually goes into his Jirachi right here. I'm not entirely sure why, but I think it's to get a little more Toxic damage on me, as he's switching the U-turn out into his T-tar right here. And I actually, again, I thought this was Scarf Tar, so I didn't realize that I could just wisp this thing, and I end up going into my Ferrothorn as he just pulls a switch back into his Jirachi because he's just trying to take the acrobatics and stall me out. So it definitely makes a lot of sense. So I didn't go to Ferrothorn predicting this Jirachi, but it does work out well for me, and I can just get on my Stealth Rocks right here, which is really, really good. Now here we see that it's actually HP Fire Latios. I don't really understand. Like, my plan was I'd force the Latios to Draco Meteor and that would let Sableye heal back up, but he actually turns out to be HP Fire. I did not expect him to be HP Fire, otherwise I would have even spammed Stealth Rocks. But Draco, HP Fire, Roost, Defog. Very, very interesting set, which I definitely did not expect, but it catches me off guard right there, so that's really, really bad for me. I'm going to go to my Kyurem because if he goes for the Draco Meteor, then I get to heal out my Sableye, and I'm really, really set on wanting to heal out my Sableye, because if I can heal out my Sableye, I pretty much win the game. That's pretty much what I'm going for right here. I really, really just want an opportunity to heal out my Sableye. But he goes into his T-Tar right here, and this is where I kind of screw up, and not realizing that this thing is Bantar, and he just goes for the Crunch and takes out my Slowbro clean. That's really, really bad for me. So I realize here that this thing is banned, and now I can go into my Talonflame and threaten this with a Wisp. He actually goes into his Alakazam, and I just go for the Roost right there. I don't know. I think right here I just go for the, okay, right here I go for the Will-O-Wisp. I'm not sure why he chose to stay in with his Alakazam. The reason being that, ooh, I remember thinking through this turn a lot and deciding that Wisp was my best play. I'm trying to recollect this. I played these games a long time ago, but, let's see. He would need to keep his Alakazam. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure why, but I decided that he would want to save his Alakazam, and also the fact that if my Talonflame does die to this Alakazam, it means that I can recover up my Sableye. So I guess that was my other thought process, that, oh, even if he does stay in, it's going to be okay for me. So he actually chooses to go for the Shadow Ball and then switch to his Keldeo. I'm not really sure how I feel about sacking Keldeo, because it was still a big threat at that point in the game, even though I got burned. And I'm going to go down at this point in the game, and I'm going to go into my Kyurem B as he does go into his Tyranitar. And that Sand is still up, so I'm going to be able to get off a chunk of damage right there with the Earth Power. And it's going to do a pretty solid chunk, and he's just going to go for the Crunch, and does not take me out. So I can just really go for the Ice Beam right here, as he's just going to take out his Latios is just going to be taken down. In hindsight, oh my god. Huh. Okay, I think I might have made a pretty bad mistake. I think maybe what I could have done was roosted with my Kyurem, and forced him to Draco Meteor with his Latios. Yeah, that may have been... Okay, so I definitely made a mistake right here. So what Kyurem does at this point is that Kyurem forces out the T-Tar. Oh my god. I could have won this game. Okay, so Kyurem forces out the T-Tar. So the T-Tar is the thing that's pressuring my Sableye from recovering. A -2 Latios can't stop my Sableye from recovering. Alakazam can't stop my Sableye from recovering. And if Sableye is at full, it can burn the T-Tar. And then even though it's banded, I can win from there. And T-Tar is in range of Latios' Draco Meteor, which is another important point to consider. So I think I should have just roosted. And I think that would have won me the game, in retrospect. Now, here he wins the 50-50, goes into his Alakazam, as I predict him to go into his T-Tar. So I don't go into my Sableye, and I know that I can still win with this situation. So he actually goes for the Substitute, which I did not expect, but my reasoning for going for the Roost is that I did not want to kill this Alakazam. I wanted my Latios to die. What I wanted to happen was for my Latios to, I wanted for my Latios to die so that Sableye could recover. But, Cause if I Draco Meteored and killed this Alakazam, I'd be at -2. I'd be live, but he could go to his T-Tar and he'd live a -2 Draco, and he'd be able to just Crunch, or maybe even Stone Edge if Sableye is outside of range of Crunch. And well, actually, I must have played this endgame really, really badly. Okay. Okay, so my reasoning there is because, okay, the T-Tar is choice locked, so if he gets to I don't know if a -2 Draco meter plus a -4 Draco meter kills the T-Tar. That's the thing. I remember thinking about this before, but I think I was fearing going for Draco meter on the Shadow Ball, getting to -2, and then him going to T-Tar, and then, no, then I just switch out my Latios and win, so I definitely made a mistake right there. I probably should have gone for the Draco meter then, because I would have lived a Shadow Ball from Alakazam, KO'd this Alakazam, and then I either force him to Pursuit to take out my Latios. If he doesn't Pursuit, then all I have to do is hit a Draco meter to kill the T-Tar. Otherwise, if he Pursuits, then my Sableye, he's locked into it, and my Sableye can win. So I definitely should have just gone for the Draco meter right there, but he turns out that he's actually Substitute, so here I decided to go for the Defog. The reason I go for the Defog right here is, well, actually, if I roosted, I would have been in a better position, but that's because this Shadow Ball is actually near absolute max roll. So what would have happened is if I went for the roost and he got a lower roll, I would be in a position where he could Shadow Ball again, and he could Shadow Ball again and then not KO me. So that would be really, really bad for me, but by going for the Defog, now if he Shadow Balls, then it gives my Sableye 2 turns to recover on 2 Shadow Balls, which is enough time for me to heal up well enough to take on that T-Tar take 1 hit, burn it, and then live and stall it out. But because he got a super high roll right there on the Shadow Ball, it means that this is gonna be really okay. There's a lot of things going on here. So the reason I go to my Latios right here is because I will die to a Shadow Ball right there with my Latios, and I need 2 turns to recover on the Alakazam. I can't have 1 turn to recover up, because obviously if I only have 1 turn to recover up, I'll be around 70% health, and I won't be healthy enough to take on that T-Tar. I need to be near full to take it on from a 1v1 position. So if I went for the roost and he got the lower roll, then he could Shadow Ball 2 more times, and then I'd be in a position where I'd be like, I feel like I should have just roosted. Let me think about this. Let me go back to this. Okay, so I do definitely on this turn, Draco metering was my best play, but because he went for the Substitute, it turned out that going Roost actually works out better for me. But right here, it's definitely in my what did I do right here? I defogged. If I roosted, let's say if I roosted and okay, there are 2 situations that can happen. You can get a roll that puts me into a situation where the next Shadow Ball kills, or you can get a roll that puts me into the position where the next Shadow Ball does not kill. So if the next Shadow Ball does not kill, he Shadow Balls again. Okay, and let's see, from this turn I need to stall out. I need to die in, I go for the Defog. Okay, I know why. So if I roosted right there on the turn I went for the Defog, if I roosted on this turn and then he could Shadow Ball again and not kill me, if he could Shadow Ball again and not kill me, it'd be essentially the same thing. Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure. Ugh, God. But if he Shadow Balls and puts me in a position where he does kill me, then I will get those 2 turns. Yeah, okay, definitely a mistake on my part. I should have just roosted. Let's continue this. I should have just roosted, because if he puts me into a range where a second Shadow Ball does kill me, then killing me will work for me because he'll have 20% health, and which means I can recover twice. And if he puts me into a position where 3 Shadow Balls, where this next Shadow Ball does not kill me, then I just roost again on another Shadow Ball, and then the exact same position happens. So basically I ended up losing out on a position where he does KO me with the next Shadow Ball, so that forces him to Substitute, and I get to roost up again till full. So yeah, basically I missed out. I definitely missed out on a win right there. Maybe I couldn't have, yeah. Okay, depending on the rules, but I go into my Sableye right here as he does go for another Shadow Ball. And here, maybe I should have pulled a double switching was my only way to win. I didn't realize this, but double switching was definitely my only way to win, and I should have pulled the double switch right there. And if I pulled the double switch, I would have won. But well, actually, unless Pursuit is 21% disable, but I don't think it. Actually, it might. So maybe double switching was not even the best play, and I think I screwed up by defogging. I mean, defogging wasn't bad. Roosting was just a better because it covered, because it allowed for a position that was better than the position where I defog. But because this Alakazam is alive at Because his Alakazam is alive, it has enough health to Shadow Ball me and take me out. Even if I hit this Draco Meter and kill this T-Tar, he would have been able to Shadow Ball me and take me out with Latios. So, in retrospect, I definitely screwed up the endgame. I definitely could have still won in the endgame. I don't know, I was thinking... yeah, so... I mean, I think my matchup was really, really good. And there were some small hacks in the beginning that put me in a position where it allowed him to pressure me a lot more. And because I just made a lot of incorrect reads, and he made a lot of correct reads, it put him into a position where he could get me in an endgame like this. And then I think I made not bad plays, but slightly suboptimal plays, and things just didn't end up working out. I didn't make the correct predictions, and I wasn't able to win this game. So its series is now 1-1, and let's get on to the third game. So I actually bring the exact same team because I'm really confident that Sableye can beat him, and there you go. There's a third Alakazam. Good God, there's a third Alakazam. That is insane. But he's using a team he used in S-Tour, made by Gmic. And let's just start the game. So I actually lead off with my Kyurem, as he leads off with his Keldeo, and I really wanted to go to my Sableye, but I decided not to. It's really, really risky. But I really should have. I should have just gone to my Sableye, but here I actually pull a double switch into my Sableye so I can knock the Heatran off. All I really risk here is getting burned. And while getting burned is annoying because it forces me to recover a lot more, it's not the end of the world. So he actually picks a really nice play right here, going for the Toxic, predicting my Slowbro. Definitely well done. I'm just going to go for a Scald, fishing for a burn or just some damage on the Heatran if he chooses to stay in. But I do not get that burn on the Rotom, so what I'm actually going to do is switch out to my Latios, as he just goes for another Volt Switch, and he's just going to go to his oh, sorry, right there. Did not mean to do that. Let's see. Oh, I actually switched the sides, that's why. So I go to my Latios, he goes for the Volt Switch, and he's actually going to Volt Switch out into his Alakazam, because my Sableye is in range of, two Shadow Balls, I think, if I remember correctly. So I'm actually going to switch out into my Talonflame, because I can definitely tank those hits. And actually, double switch is into his Rotom. So what I want to do is I want to take the opportunity to burn this. So this way, every time it comes in, it'll get worn down slowly and slowly. And I can just Will-O-Wisp that Rotom and just be pretty healthy with my Talonflame. So I'm actually going to switch out to my Slowbro right here. I was afraid... oh, it's not Taunt Talonflame, so if I was Taunt, I would have been perfectly safe against it, but I'm not. So I actually pull a switch into my Sableye here, predicting him to go for the Stealth Rocks, and I bounce those back, which works really, really nicely for me. And I'm going to pull a switch into my Kyurem right here, expecting him to just Lava Plume, and even if he burned me, it wouldn't have been the worst thing. But I'm going to go for the Ice Beam right here, predicting him to switch out. There's no way he's going to stay in with his Heatran and risk me Earth Powering to KO him. And here I want to go for the Fusion Bolt, expecting him to... well, one thing, it just takes out the Skarmory. The other thing is that if he does try to be cheeky and switch into his Keldeo, I can just take that thing out with the Fusion Bolt. Easy peasy, which is really, really good for me. He goes into his Alakazam, and oh boy, this was not good. He goes for the Shadow Ball, and he actually gets a critical hit. He goes for the Psychic and actually gets a critical hit. If he did not get a critical hit, I would have been outside of range of Gyro Ball. Out of Focus Blast. I would have been able to live the Focus Blast. And now I'm after the Protect, that is. And definitely after the Protect. But he goes for the Calm Mind. The reason I go for the Protect is to give myself, again, those chances to live the Focus Blast. I think he went for the Calm Mind, expecting my Sableye switch. I don't think I showed Protect last game. I don't even think I showed Protect, so I'm not sure if he predicted Protect, but I wouldn't even have had to Protect if he didn't crit the Psychic, because I would have been at, let's see right here, oh, sorry. I would have been at 85% health, and that would have been enough for me to tank a Focus Blast with the Alakazam, and I could just Gyro Ball extremely freely, and I'd be in a really solid position. But because he Calm Minds and then he hits his Focus Blast, I'm now in a very bad position. So I'm actually going to go into my Talonflame and sack it to get off damage on this Alakazam. There's really no other choice I have. And he's just going to go for the Psychic, take out my Talonflame, and I can go to my Sableye and revenge this Alakazam. But this Alakazam basically got 3 kills. And I was looking at a very comfortable position, and now I'm not feeling so safe anymore. And my Sableye is basically dead, which is even worse. He actually goes into his Heatran. Here I have an irrational fear that he's going to go for the... I have an extremely irrational fear that he's going to go for the Stealth Rocks, predicting my switch. And I don't go into my Slowbro, which I definitely should. I mean, I could have even gone to... I mean, I guess I wanted my Kiramin, but like I feel like if I had the Sableye sack around for later on in the game, I would have been in a really good position. I just go straight for the Earth Power, not risking anything. But honestly, I think I could have just gone for a Roost, and that might have put me in a little more comfier position because it gives me freedom to switch in to the Heatran's Lava Plume. Now I'm going to go to my Slowbro right here. I knew this was SD3 attacks. I was really, because I'd seen the team before, and I was really confident this was SD3 attacks. I really wanted to go to my Latios right here, but I did not have the guts to make the play. I really wanted to, but it was my fault. I did not have the guts to make the play and go to my Latios right here. He's going to SD on the Scald. I do not burn, and he's going to take me out with the Dragon Claw, so I can go to my Latios right here. And, oh my god, I go for the Roost, predicting him to go into his Heatran, because what I'm going for is Latios cleaning off the whole game. I thought there's no, predicting the Rotom Wash, because I wanted to keep myself healthy for the Heatran later on, and I thought there's no way he's going to risk this Garchomp. He just sacks his Rotom Wash. That's 100% what he's going to do. But he decides to predict my Roost right there, stays in, goes for the Dragon Claw, and takes out my Latios, which was a really well played on his end. I mean, it was extremely risky. High risk, high reward, I guess, and it worked out for him. And yeah, he's able to clinch the game right there. The Shadow Ball crit definitely was big. It really was, because if he did not crit me right there, I wouldn't have lost so much momentum, lost so many mons, and I think I would have had a much safer finish to this game. But because he did crit me, it put me into a position where I had to out-predict him, and he was just able to get all the right plays and get all the right reads against me, and that ends up biting me really badly in the back, and he's able to win the game 2-1, and I think I had a matchup all 3 games, so I'm really I know at the time I was extremely upset with the way I played this series, and I mean, I wouldn't blame these losses on hacks at all, because while hacks played a role in them, I also made incorrect reads, did not make the best plays, and that also contributed to my loss. It's the fact that I got hacked, but I wasn't able to outplay and overcome that hacks that really upset me, and I wasn't expecting to get knocked out of OST round 2, so it was definitely a big blow. But I learned a lot from this series. I learned a lot about trusting myself, trusting my gut. My gut tends to be extremely good at picking up the right play. I don't know how else to say it, but there were so many times in this. It's the absolute worst feeling when your gut tells you to make this play. Like, literally, I clicked Roost, and then this fear just started to stride into me, and I decided I'm not going to hit that cancel button, I'm going to stick through with my play, and it just bites me. If I clicked Draco Meteor right there, I would have won the entire game, because Kyurem B would kill the Rotom and the Heatran with Earth Power, but there were so many points in this series where I was like, oh, I should make this play, but I decided to go for a more safer route, and I just got too many plays wrong, and Shoka was able to overcome, and he definitely played really well. So definitely hats off to him, and I learned a lot from this series. It was a very close series too, so definitely a worthwhile series. I hope you guys enjoyed. Maybe you could learn something from this. I definitely learned a lot about myself. I definitely learned a lot from this series. I learned a lot from hacks. Once you get to know me well, you'll know that one of the first things I do after a loss is I immediately inspect why I lost. In some sense it's a bad habit, because I feel the need to share it, and this can sometimes be bad if I don't pick a good outlet, because especially when there's frustration involved. So sometimes I do this thing where I explain, but I'm not justifying, but it comes out as a justification, and then people tend to not like that when you're justifying something, and it's just not that good. But it's just how I am. I'm really introspective, and I immediately reflect on losses because I don't think mistakes should be repeated. I think if you lost because of a mistake, you should learn from that mistake and avoid making it in the future. So I tend to review my mistakes after a game almost immediately after it. Sometimes I make some dumb mistakes that cost me games, and I want to avoid making those mistakes in the future. I think that's how you get better. And I've actually started to keep a loss log so that I can vent to myself, not other people, and keep notes of saying, oh, I lost this game because I didn't trust my gut. I lost this game because I used a team that I wasn't comfortable with, and I should have just brought a team I was comfortable with, like stuff like that. So anyway, I am rambling at this point. I hope you guys enjoyed this series. I definitely enjoyed this series. It was really, really close, and Shoka did pretty well in OST. He actually just recently lost to Toxin. There were some hacksy games in that series too, but yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.